I think Harry was hoping, I know Harry was hoping he might just win on at least one or two of them, but having lost every single claim, it will be a bitter blow at the beginning of what's set to be a very, very difficult week for him now.
Amidst all the Farage-rama, we have been in danger of slightly forgetting Prince Harry, and he's in the news. There has been a verdict in his case against the Daily Mail. Ollie, what can you tell us about that?
Well, it's a remarkable verdict, really, because a lot of people looking on from the outside, following things day by day across an 11-week trial, thought that this might be a judgment that we'd have to sort of pick out the bits and pieces and work out what everything meant, in quite a lot of detail. However, it's a comprehensive victory for Associated Newspapers, who own the Mail on Sunday and the Daily Mail. All the claims by the Duke of Essex, Harry, Elton John, Doreen Lawrence, Sadie Frost, Liz Hurley and Simon Hughes have all been dismissed by the High Court, and the publisher won on the merits of the claim, but also Mr Justice Nicklin found that on a couple of the claims, those brought by Sadie Frost and Simon Hughes, they would have been time-barred anyway, and this, formed part of the Associated Newspapers' defence, which was actually you have to make these representations within a certain time frame in order to be successful in legal action. So quite a comprehensive victory, quite a big loss for Harry, who is, today starting his trip around the UK. He's just been speaking at an event a year out from the Invictus Games in Birmingham next year. So it is, he's starting that trip off with quite a brutal blow in the courts, and that has cost him quite a lot of public pain over that 11-week trial, where he has had to divulge quite a lot of information about his personal and private life, and most of it seems now has come to a head, and actually the judge has ruled in favour of Associated Newspapers.
Right. What about his costs? Presumably he's going to be out of pocket, is he?
Well, that will be shook down at later in the month. So basically they'll do the hearing later in July, so they will sort of shake out what it all means for all various different parties. And of course it's not just Harry in this, there's a group of people. Exactly. So on all counts, the Associated Newspapers have had the claims against them dismissed. So that would all be shaken out, and of course now we've got this sort of week-long Prince Harry tour around the UK, where he will almost certainly have to say something and give in some way.
Right, thank you very much. Ollie Cole riding several news horses this afternoon, but that was the news for Prince Harry. Prince Harry has lost his case against Associated Newspapers. He's in the UK for an event about his Invictus Games Foundation, which focuses on wounded or injured military personnel worldwide. Roya Nikkhah is the Sunday Times royal editor, and she's been following the Prince today. Roya, where is he? What's he been doing?
Hi, Jane. Well, he's at Chatham House, where I am now, and he is doing this event for the Invictus Games Foundation. He's doing a few events this week for Invictus, but of course, all eyes, everyone in the room, and I was in the room with him when that judgment dropped, all eyes are on him, and he had to stand up and give a speech about the Invictus Games. And I think that must have been quite a tricky moment for him, because it is a huge blow to him. Personally, it's a huge blow to his campaign against the press. And just reading the summary judgment, which all of us were doing in there, and seeing that the claimants, of course, there are other claimants in this claim, have lost all 97 claims. I think Harry was hoping, I know Harry was hoping he might just win on at least one or two of them, but having lost every single claim, it will be a bitter blow at the beginning of what's set to be a very, very difficult week for him now.
Right. His credibility is, it's not great, is it? It's pretty much shot, really.
Well, of course, Associated Newspapers Limited have put out a statement calling it a huge victory for their journalists and for the free press generally. And I'm sure, as we see over the next few hours and days, that will be played out across every element of the media. And that will be an even bitterer pill for Harry to swallow, because, of course, Harry has waged a campaign against parts of the tabloid press for a very long time. But I think what he was hoping for was at least, to win one claim and have a bit of a victory at the start of a week. And now I think there's going to be an even bigger cloud hanging over him. And we have seen the chaos of the last few days. Of course, the war of words between Harry, his team, and Buckingham Palace, with that whole issue of him. Would he stay at Buckingham Palace? Would he not? I think that will slightly pale into insignificance now, given that he has lost this case.
It's always worth saying that the Invictus Games are They're brilliant. They're an incredible achievement, and they're going to be overshadowed as well, aren't they? And that's a shame.
Yes, in short. I mean, today Harry was announcing that Uganda is joining the Invictus fame. They'll be competing at the next games. There are news nuggets that come with it, but it's hard to imagine anyone focusing on that today. The big question now turns to whether, when Harry moves his trip up to Birmingham later in the week and is due to be at the NEC doing a huge Invictus engagement on Friday, whether or not Meghan will join him. She had been scheduled to join him at that. We now know she's not come to London. Will Harry feel he needs her support even more? Will she want to give her support even more now he's lost his case? All of that will come into play now.
Right. I mean, can you tell us anything about his body language? How does he look?
I have to say, my understanding is he saw the judgment ever so slightly early. He arrived at Chatham House early, which caught us all by surprise. He had a real poker face on. He has been able to laugh during a few speeches here. He just was presenting a plaque to the Ugandan delegates and pretended it was a frisbee, pretended he was going to throw it out into the room. He is putting on a very brave face, but he's just gone into a huddle with his media team in the short break in proceedings. And I think he must be thinking, what on earth do I do now? Do I make a statement? Do I not? There are plans for him to give some sort of statement or victory speech if he won even one of those claims. That's not now happening. What will he do? I have to say, just seeing him in that break leaving, he looked like he was putting on a bit of a brave face, but I think it must be very tough for him now, because outside Chatham House, there is a huge bank of cameras and media who will all be there screaming out questions as he leaves about his loss.
Thank you, Roya. Roya Nikkhah, who is the Sunday Times royal editor. It is Times Radio.